What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for the last match review stream of the season as Spurs beat Sheffield United by 3-0, which gave us, well, which let us end our season on a high after a long, hard slog, hasn't it? Been the second half of the season, particularly the last 5 or 6 games where we've taken some batterings, to say the least. But I guess it's good for the season to come to an end, isn't it?
I think we're all looking forward to next season at this point. We know what Ange is capable of when it comes to the football he's adopted at Spurs. We're all excited about having that football in full flow, with more consistency, with better quality players, with players who are more suited to the system. So I think we're all ready for it. I think since this late season collapse, I think we've all been ready for next season to start. And I think, yeah, we got a good ending, got the 3-0 win, got that top 5 space. So it's a good platform going into next season. We're going to be in Europa League, and hopefully we can really build off the foundations we built this season. But it's going to need a very, very big summer to do that. But it's a bit of a shame and concerning the way we collapsed so badly at the end of the season, but it's something we're going to have to learn from. And hopefully, once we've made all the shifts in the squad, that's something that we can rectify and never happen again.
Yeah, it's actually mad when you look at it, because since the beginning of April, the only teams we've been able to beat are Nottingham Forest, Burnley and Luton, and Sheffield United.
Bottom 4.
Mad.
And that's the reality of how badly we collapsed. And even those games, apart from the Sheffield game, they weren't easy games. It was, we had to work very hard for those victories. None of these victories have come easy for us. So considering how a lot of the season we've played well, even with inconsistencies, we still played quite well in a lot of those games. The last month, the collapse in performance level has been really, really concerning. So I'm sure Ange will go back to the drawing board and analyse why these things have happened, why we've looked so off the pace for a lot of the games. But we've still got top 5, and that's something to be commended, and I think something we all would have taken at the beginning of the season. So we knew that there was going to be difficulties this season. It's just a shame that it came at the end of the season, but we'll have to learn from them and kind of figure out why it happened.
Yeah, talking specifically about this one, interesting lineup. He went for Decky in the number 9, which I thought worked really well, to be fair. Was a presence up there, uses physical power, running in behind, good finishing ability as well. Is this maybe something that we can see more of next season?
Yeah, it's a shame that it only happened at the end of the season, because I would like to have known in the last few games how it would have gone if he would have played that position a bit more consistently, because not only was he a bit of a threat in behind, and obviously he got the goal, his first goal, with a really nice run to the left and a really good finish across the face of goal, but what I really liked his performance was when he was taking the ball into feet, his ability to protect the ball and make something of it, and not just give the ball away easily and or easily be muscled off the ball, which is a problem Son has had when he's played central, and Richarlison just gives the ball away way too easily when he plays central. So I think Decky was actually quite a good medium. Not to say I think he's like the perfect number 9 or anything like that, but I think when we were lacking options in that position in recent weeks, when Son wasn't quite doing it as much as I think he can do it on his day in that position, he hasn't been doing it recently, so we needed another option in there, someone with a bit more physical presence. And I remember saying like a month ago, I can see Decky doing that job in that kind of space, and I was really impressed. Obviously, the caveats are, I was against Sheffield United last year of the season. They're already relegated, so how much can you learn from it? I think it's a valid question, but obviously, he had the cameo against Man City as well, where he was giving them a lot of trouble with his physicality nonetheless, where a few times it looked like the Man City defender was going to be favoured for the ball and Decky would get there first using his physical attributes. So I do think that is a role he can perform, and maybe something we should be considering. As I said before, Allegri played him in that position a few times, usually in a front 2 rather than a false 9 position like he played yesterday, or a number 9 I should say, but maybe it's something we should definitely be considering in the future, because he clearly showed yesterday his ability to play there, but it's only one game. You can't really base your whole strategy on one game. It's about what Ange sees in him maybe in training going forward, Because surely it's something he would have considered before. I do wonder why he's only waited till now to do it.
Yeah, but you can say the same thing as Mickey van der Ven at left back. Why did he not try that one before, where he's played left back before, and we were struggling after Destiny Udogie went out. Emerson came in, Skip came in, and then he tried van der Ven. I mean, it didn't really make much sense to me with that either.
But the difference is, like, van der Ven was playing well in his role. So, like, Kulusevski was kind of inconsistent. We didn't have anyone up front. I guess, yeah, it's a similar thing, but he explained Van der Ven reason for, like, fitness reasons. I don't know if Decky's the same reason.
Yeah, I mean, look, there might be varied of different reasons for it, but you could clearly see throughout the whole season he wasn't willing to try something new. And then as soon as the last 2 games hit, he was willing to try all these different things. Pape Matar, rotating into the false 9. Like, when did we ever think that was going to happen? James Maddison in the false 9 as well. So you're looking at all these different options that he's tried in the last 2 games of the season. You're sitting there thinking, like, why has he not tried a lot of these things throughout the course of the season, particularly when we were going through those mad injury problems at stages, like I said, at the latter stage when Destiny Udogie was out injured. But look, when we're talking about Decky specifically in the number 9, I don't think it's the answer for us moving forward. But what it does give us, it gives us an extra option when we want to change things late in games, when we want to, combat to and specifically change things to particular teams that we're playing against. It gives us a physical option up there. You never know who we're going to bring on or bring in the number 9 in the summer, but it does give us something to move to or something to change to when we're struggling sometimes.
And I think that in that false 9 position where he's able to drop into midfield as well and, like, almost be like an extra midfielder, I think it will allow us in some games to dominate possession even more. And a bit like against Man City, how we were able to keep the ball against such a good side. Having Decky in that position, I think, can help us in those kind of games potentially as well. Because him dropping deep is going to add an extra body in. Because he's so good at protecting the ball, he can pass, he can move, he's good at quick interchanges as well. I think it's a promising position, but obviously you can't say he's going to be our number 9 now, or even an option. Like, it can't even be our backup number 9 based off one game. So that's the difficulty. So I like him. Obviously, that's another reason why I think we should definitely be keeping someone like Decky around, because he's so versatile, can fill in other different positions and do all of them to quite a high standard, in my opinion. So I think that was really promising. And obviously the 2 goals he scored, really strikers finishes. The first one, really great finish, kissing the post on the way.
Particularly the first one, yeah.
And I thought the second one, I think, showed his predatory instincts, running across his defender, opening up his body, getting his right foot on it. And that was a real striker's finish as well. So I think 2 really promising moments. But I think it is a position we should see him more often, in my opinion.
When the game started, it kind of started as we've seen Sheffield United start games a lot in previous weeks, where they start strong, they're getting chances, they're being aggressive, they're trying to run in behind, they're catching opponents out. And that's exactly what we saw, didn't we? Dragoshin, I thought, started the game quite sloppily, gifted Sheffield United a chance in those early stages. And it was just the carbon copy, wasn't it? Sheffield United putting on pressure, but don't have enough quality to put the ball in the back of the net. Well, sometimes they do have the quality to put the ball in the back of the net, but not in this case. And I thought when we did score, 20 minutes in or something like that, it was a bit against the run of play, and then we just took control from there.
Yeah, essentially. I think Sheffield United have a habit of starting games really quickly. I was watching them against, I think it was Forest last week or 2 weeks ago, where they should have been at least 2-3 goals up before Forest got back in the game. But as soon as Forest got that goal, started to show a bit of quality, it was very, very difficult for Sheffield to combat that. Very similar thing happened in this game. Berrington Diaz was causing Spurs all sorts of problems. Cameron Archer was making runs in behind. They were going for that space every time. And they were causing us problems. And as I said, Dragoshin at that moment, he tried to head it, I think, to Van der Ven, and he just got the header all wrong. And Berrington Diaz had a chance. They couldn't make the most of it. They had that moment where Diaz hit the post, but he was probably just offside anyway. But they created an opportunity there. It was a bit of a scare. So they had a few moments, and you off the face of you think, Sheffield United, bottom of the league, they shouldn't be having these moments against Spurs. But that's how they've been playing recently, and they do have committed a bit of risk. But as soon as Tottenham threatened down the other end and started opening up, it was really game was only going to go one way. Yeah,
and we said it in the preview, like this thing could happen in this game. Sheffield United could make all the early running, but once Spurs do get a goal, it happens every time, doesn't it? Sheffield United concede, and then they just open up and part like the Red Sea. And I felt like that was what was happening. You look at the performance from Wes Foderingham. He made some number of good saves throughout the game, didn't he? And we could have scored a lot more than 3 goals on the day.
Yeah, Bentancur hit the post. Sonny had forced a brilliant save out of him. I think Decky had another chance apart from his 2 goals. Porro had that effort from 25 yards, which Foderingham had to tip wide. So he was a busy keeper. I think he was absolutely in top form. And considering they lost 3-0, I think that's a testament to how much we were peppering their goal and how many chances we were able to create. Obviously, this is a team that has conceded now over 100 goals. I think 105 goals now after yesterday. So
104, yeah.
104 goals. So it's not exactly hard, I guess, to create the level of opportunities we did, and that's why they've conceded the amount of goals they have. So I don't think it's like massively impressive for Spurs to do that, but we got the job done on a day where we had to get the result, and I thought we made light work of it.
Yeah, we did, we really did, and there were some standout performers on the day which I was really proud about. And you look at Heung-min Son and the performance that he put in. He was at his creative best, wasn't he, at the game? He was twisting, he was turning, he was playing really nice, cute balls in behind, and it was a performance that we haven't seen from Sonny in a good few weeks.
Yeah, I thought he was in top form. I thought he was an absolute nuisance. They couldn't really deal with him. Down that left-hand side, he was giving them no end of trouble, getting in behind, getting the ball to feet, linking up with Maddison, linking up with Kulusevski. Obviously got the assist for the first one with a bit of endeavour. Obviously it wasn't too much quality, he just got there ahead of the Sheffield United defender and prodded it to Kulusevski with a nice finish. Should have had at least a couple of other assists, and we played in Maddison with a one-on-one who should have scored, but also had a really crucial role for the third goal. Brilliant ball down the line to Maddison, who cut it back for Kulusevski for the goal, and also was heavily involved in the second goal as well, getting to the byline, cutting it back for Maddison, who had the shot blocked, and then it fell to Van der Ven, who forced a save out of Foderingham, and it fell to Porro, who scored. So had a role to play in all 3 goals, was non-stop getting in on the act, and they really struggled to deal with him.
Yeah, and it wasn't just him at his creative best, but I thought James Maddison as well put in a really good display. And we've been talking about Maddison over the past few weeks, saying we can see him slowly getting to grips with maybe close or not close to, but getting closer to the levels that we saw him at the beginning of the season. I think yesterday was another example of that. I think he made 5 key passes throughout the time that he was on the pitch. I mean, how many minutes did he play? 88 minutes that he was on the pitch. Should have scored. I think that's the second time we've seen him in a couple of weeks go through on goal and fluff his lines.
Similar position as well.
Yeah, very similar chance. So apart from that, I thought he was really good and really hard to deal with.
And he got an assist for Decky's goal, really good running behind and cut back to Decky. Yeah, I thought he was really in top form. I thought he was really solid. I think he'll be disappointed he didn't do more on the day, but just because of the chances he created and the chances he had himself. So he'll be disappointed maybe not to have got on the score sheet. But I thought it was a really good display. And it was an easy day for him. He was given all the space he needed, and he made them pay.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dragoshin comes in at left centre-back the way he started the last game. And I think he was nervy early on, wasn't he, Dragoshin, with a bad header that I can't remember who it was in. Was it Ben Berrington Diaz at the back post? But apart from that, I thought he grew. I thought he grew into the game massively, and I thought he played a vital role. What I was really pleased about was the way he was protecting Vicario from set pieces. He didn't take any shit like we've seen our players take throughout the course of the season, particularly in the early stages of that second half of the season. And he showed his ability on the ball, and he showed that he can charge up the pitch and actually contribute to attacks as well.
Yeah, he seemed very confident on the ball. He's actually his ball carrying was quite good. I think his passing is still a work in progress, but it was decent. I thought he didn't make too many mistakes apart from that one header right at the beginning of the game. I thought it was a fairly simple game for him after the opening 20 minutes, where they were looking to get him behind him. After that, it was a simple game. He bullied Diaz after that period, and I thought last couple of games, hopefully he's given him a real confidence booster, because obviously he had that game against Fulham where he made his first start, very disappointing. He then came in against Luton where I didn't think he was particularly impressive. A lot of people thought he was, but I didn't. I was a bit concerned about him. But his last two performances against Man City, where he was really strong, and in this one, hopefully he's given him a bit of confidence going into next season. And obviously next season he will be getting a lot more game time with European football coming. So I expect to see a lot of better from Dragoshin, and a lot of improvements as well.
Yeah, because we saw a lot of fans question Dragoshin after the first couple of games that he played for us, particularly the game you were talking about against Fulham, where he was poor and looked really uncomfortable on the left-hand side of the back, on the back two. But I think these last two performances have really proven to the Spurs fans, proven to us, proven to himself that he can do that role, and he can step in when needed.
Yeah, and also I'd assume next season, if we do sign another left centre-back, he'll move back to his more preferred right-hand side as well. You've got to remember, he's been playing on the left, which he's not as comfortable with, I don't think. So I really think that's going to stand him in good stead for next season, having played that role, being a bit uncomfortable, and it's going to allow him to have more strings to his bow. So I'm excited about the future for Dragoshin. He's still only 21 years of age. He's still very, very young. Yeah,
and it's mad to think that he's that age when you look at him, because he's a beast, isn't he? He's an absolute beast, and we need more players to take a leaf out of his book, the way he was kind of trying to defend Vicario from those set pieces, because we just haven't seen enough of that this season. And when you look at other teams and the way they defend their set pieces, they always seem to have that one player that seems to protect the goalkeeper, and we haven't really had that. Yeah. So it's great to see him do that. But when he doesn't start, someone else needs to take up that mantle for sure. Man of the match for me, I wouldn't go for Decky, actually. I'd probably go for Pedro Porro. Brilliant performance. Yeah, it was against Sheffield United. You've got to put that caveat in there. But he was at his creative best as well. Amazing cross for Coutinho Romero where he should have slotted it home. A brilliant shot and a brilliant goal as well. So he really impacted the game in a positive way. And we've been talking a lot about Pedro Porro recently in terms of the way he's not been influencing the attack as he has been maybe first half of the season. But yesterday he was right back at it.
Yeah, at his attacking best, it was a very, very good display from Porro. Every time he got forward, he looked like he was going to make the difference. And we know what quality he's got. That's now, I think, 10 goal contributions this season from right back, which is very, very impressive. That's up there. I think the most out of any fullback for goal contributions this season. So, along with Kieran Trippier. So I think that goes to show his level of output, how much he's improving consistently, and obviously defensively he has improved throughout the whole season. A much different defender than he was last season, so I'm really delighted with Porro. I think he's established himself now as one of the top fullbacks in the league, and I think he's going to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, like we keep saying, you can't really learn too much against the Sheffield United side that's already relegated, that's conceded as many goals as they have. It was just nice to finish off with 3 points, because we've been, we haven't won. We beat Burnley. But it is worrying that we can only beat these kind of relegated sides. That is the worry. And hopefully Ange can rectify that, bring in the players that we need over the summer. But no one can tell you why we've had this end-of-season collapse like we have.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying. It's not necessarily the results, as I say, that worries me. It's more how we've played in these games, especially the Newcastle game, Chelsea game, Liverpool for 70 minutes anyway. We've completely collapsed in these games and haven't shown anywhere near the football we know we can play, the aggression off the ball, way too easy to play against. And it's very disappointing, because obviously if we would have got one result, we could have easily got that top four spot, which was definitely there for the taking, with Villa's also poor results late in the season. So we're only of ourselves to blame. And you'll have to take stock about why it has happened, and you'll have to analyse exactly what was to blame, what players are not fully invested in this project, who he needs out the door to get this right. And it's gonna need a lot of analysis. It's gonna need a lot of work. I'm sure he can get it right. The main thing is everyone's still behind him. The club need to back him, and we need to make sure we get as much change this summer as possible, so we can start going in the right direction. But the way we collapsed in the second half of the season is definitely a concern, and the fact that that's what we're going into next season with, rather than solid foundations. Like for example, Chelsea going to next season with 5 wins on the trot, looking really good. Everyone seems to be in good spirits, and you can take that momentum into next season. We're in a different kind of way, so we're going to have to completely flip it when we start the season next season, and I hope that we can kind of change the narrative, because I really hope Ange doesn't get off to a bad start to the season, because all of a sudden I can see the pressure starting to build on him a bit.
Yeah, but look, for me, even if he does get off to a bad start to the season, we still got to stick with it. I know maybe questions will start with the hierarchy and stuff like that, but we have to stick with him. We have to see a project through once and for all without cutting it short early. We've seen with previous projects with other teams, it can take a good 2-3 seasons to get to where you want to be, or get to signs of showing where you want to be, right? So even if it starts slow next season, we have to stick with it. We just have to see it through.
100%.
And that's the reality of it. But, you say one win would have got us Champions League. You regret that Man City result at all?
No, I regret all the other results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, that's the only one I don't regret.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone goes, oh, if you would have beaten Man City, you would have got top 4. But then nobody mentions all the other games that we lost, like the 5 losses on the bounce, 4 losses on the bounce. You know what I mean? Like, no one mentions that.
I look back at that period, obviously, just after the Chelsea game, and we should have won at least one of those games where we were really actually playing well, on top of the opposition, going 1-0 up in all those games, and unfortunately we ended up losing a lot of them. I think 4 losses on the trot on that occasion. So that's really disappointing. That we didn't get a win in one of those games. I think apart from that run, most of the other losses we've had this season have probably been deserved. I would probably say.
Which one hasn't been deserved?
I was saying the string of losses we had after that run, after that Chelsea game. Sorry. I would argue we probably should have won a few of those games.
Well, Villa should have been a win and West Ham should have been a win.
Yeah, so a couple of those games. But other than that, I think all the other ones are you probably say we didn't.
Well, the only other loss in that run was Wolves.
I'm saying across the season. All the other losses. I think
Brighton we deserve to lose. Wolves at home we deserve to lose. Fulham away we deserve to lose, and probably all 4 of these games recently we probably
the only ones we maybe you have an argument for is
Arsenal
at home and City at home, where you probably played quite well in both those games, but I don't think you can probably come away and saying we were robbed.
No.
But we were probably unlucky.
Even though we were saying that after the game.
Yeah, we were probably a bit unlucky to lose. But I think the Villa game and the West Ham game, we definitely should have won.
I think if we take away a point from that Arsenal game at White Hart Lane, nobody's saying anything.
Yeah, I think that would have been deserved. I think. So I think the foundations are there. I think we definitely could have got top 4 this season but unfortunately the collapse happened and we didn't do it. But I do think Ange is building something really positive. I really believe that at the start of next season, if we have the players out the door that we need to get out, and we get a few really key additions to this team, I think there's the foundations of a really good team here.
Yeah, it's just a bit frustrating how it feels like we've kind of got so much better at defending these set pieces with the way we've kind of flipped up. We've gone from zonal marking to man-to-man marking at these defending corners, and we've given a lot more protection to Vicario as well. Why couldn't they have done that before the Arsenal game? You know how strong Arsenal are at defending those set pieces. Why does it have to come after the Arsenal game? Yeah. It's just so frustrating how, some things work out. But look, good season all in all. Finished 5th, back in Europa League, back in European football, and we kick on from there. We just got to look onwards instead of backwards now. And Ange was talking in the press conference, wasn't he? And they were trying to get a bite out of him, get a sound bite out of him. They said, is there anything that you learnt over the season? And he thought about his answer. He thought about what he was going to say, and he was like, no, I'm going to move on from this now. It was funny, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I'm sure Ange has got a lot of takeaways in terms of what players are ready for this system, what players are really bought into what he wants to do, and what players haven't. And you got him, as you know, it's easy to forget. It's only his first season. He had to really take a good look at all these players and really make a lot of judgments. He's now had that time. A bit like Pochettino in his first season, In his first season, he had to play the likes of Kabul and Capu and Adebayor and Lennon and all these players who just weren't fit, but he had to play them because they're part of the squad. But now the summer's coming. He can now work on getting out the players who don't want to be here or shouldn't be here, and getting in some key additions. And that summer, I remember under Poch, we didn't go crazy. We signed like a few additions. We went crazy in the outgoings, but incomings, it was just like, we brought in Sonny, we brought in like Alderweireld, brought in maybe, I think, was it Wanyama? I think maybe the season after. But like a few key additions. and that made a world of difference. And that's what if you get those signings right, you don't need to sign 10 players. Just if you sign some key additions, add a bit of depth, and you could be really you'd be surprised how many levels up you can go.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, look, positive way to end this season. Can't really take too much away from it because it was poor opposition, but hopefully we can kind of use it as a bit of a springboard. Look forward to the transfer window. Hopefully we get the business done that we need to get done, and have a positive season next year. And if we do have a slow start to the season, I wouldn't get, too downbeat about it, because you're trying to integrate new players into a system as well. I think it's a call for patience still. Even after one season, you still have to have that patience about you.
Of course. We're not going to just be prime Man City come August. That's the reality.